Welcome back to another episode of Wellness with EAC. My name is Nicole Guanzura, and I have the pleasure of being your host. If you are new here, welcome. So glad to have you. If you're returning, welcome back. You already know the deal over here. We are talking about career wellness, and we're talking about our faith journeys and how that affects our personal and professional lives. In some weeks, you're going to hear me just chatting it up. You and I are going to have a one-on-one conversation. And in other weeks, I'm bringing on amazing guests because they have some really good stuff to share with you. And this week is just that. I am so excited to have this guest on today because she's amazing, amazing. She is a holistic empowerment coach for women. She's a speaker, an attorney, a published children's book author. I mean, she's a whole lot, but that's just a little bit of a preview of this amazing human. But I want you to hear more about her from herself. I'm so excited to welcome our guest for today, Yeve Chitiga. Yeve, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Hi, everyone. I'm so pleased to be on this show. I've been listening, and so to be a guest is really an honor, and I'm really just excited to dive in with you.
Amazing, amazing. So, Yeve, you're doing all the things and you're balancing all of that, and it's just amazing. There's just something about your personality, just your presence that is just commands a room, right? That just really makes people want to stop and listen to what you have to say. And I absolutely love that about you. And I can't wait for folks to get to know more of that, of who you are. So I want folks to know, right, before you became all of these amazing things too, take us back a little bit. Give us, a little bit of your educational and work background. What does it take to become who you are today?
Woo, wow, that is very kind of you, and I appreciate your very generous words. And I think if I were to take you back, you know, I would go to all the way to Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
um, where I was born and raised. I come from the capital city, Harare. I'm a city girl at heart, and
Yes.
I'm very much in a season of life where I am recognizing all of the patterns and themes of my
Mm,
life. And so, who or what does it take to become who I am today? Really, it starts with the little girl that I was growing up in
mm,
Harare, a little girl who was extremely curious, inquisitive, explorative, and very much into performing arts,
mm-hmm.
music, dance, storytelling. A lot of the stories that my family tells about me growing up are about me telling stories. Very long, imaginative stories that I would tell. And, I had such a rich imagination. And that's what I did growing up. And then fast forward to when I was a little bit older, I then started to develop this ability to advocate,
Mm,
advocate for myself and for others in various situations, and that looked like me becoming a trusted advisor to my friends, trusted advisor
mm,
to my family, even in
mm-hmm.
things that I wasn't well versed in. People would come to me and I would listen and provide my advice. And Fast forward, I then started working. I went to college in South Carolina at Claflin University, the oldest HBCU in South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina. And I there majored in business,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I wanted to go to law school, which was a long held dream of mine. But I majored in business only because it was the practical thing to do. And I had a conversation
Mm-hmm.
that was really about, hey, what do you want to do after college? And it was like, hey, I want to be a lawyer. Well, what about if, in the meantime, you decide you want to do other things? Why don't you choose something that allows you to have more opportunities? And so I landed
Mm-hmm.
on business, but really, I wanted to be an art major. I wanted to
I can
major in
see that.
art,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I chose the business route. And in so doing, I really shaped a lot of my early career. In fact, not even early career, my career to date.
Mm.
Because after majoring in business, I then, instead of going straight to law school, we could talk about that later. I decided to take a year out and
Mm-hmm.
work. And so I did that. And I worked for a large bank, international bank. And my year at that bank became 4 years because life.
Mm-hmm.
Life
Of
happens and
course.
you're set on a motion of things that you couldn't have predicted. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things for me, which was a turning point in my career, actually, was being sent to the UK with my job to work for 4 months or 6 months, a very short stint. And that stint ended up being 3 years. And so that was a real big turning point for me. And through
Mm-hmm.
that job, I saw the '08 financial crisis. The bank I worked with merged with another one. I saw a merger. I was part of that. And all of that then forced me to say, you know what, I really wanted to go to law school. Let me make that happen. And then
Mm-hmm.
I moved from the UK to the US and went to law school, and have been in the US practicing law for, since I graduated from law school. And so I share all of that to say
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of interesting and pivotal points in my journey, but a lot of them all stem from who I was growing up. Because
Okay.
right now I am really becoming who I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you're becoming who you have always been. And that can only occur when you're rooted and know what your core values are, what resonates with you in your identity, right? And taking it all the way back to our home country, home city, right? For anybody who knows or doesn't know this about me, I'm from Zimbabwe as well, born and raised in Harare, and no, Yeve and I did not meet in Zimbabwe. We met in these great United States. So it's just knowing that heritage and background and being able to trace it back. I think it's so important too, and it shapes a lot of how you take certain approaches and how you're able to take that leap to go be, stationed somewhere else for work and learn a different experience, come back to the US, just kind of hopping around the world, learning how life works, but your perspective along the way doesn't change who you are at your core.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So now in this season of your life, what are you really proud of? When you wake up and say, you know what, even on a bad day, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, in this season, I'm really proud of this.
Hmm. Wow, that's such a great question. There are a couple different things that have come up for me in this season.
Mm-hmm.
One of them actually is tied to being an immigrant. And
Mm-hmm.
so, on one hand, this idea that you can uproot your life and relocate and go and live somewhere else is very much an immigrant trait, right? That's
Yes.
what you do when you become an immigrant. And so, to move to another country, like I had to do when I went to the UK,
Mm-hmm.
that was very easy to do. But the other angle of being an immigrant is because you know the sacrifices and the path for you to get where you were, there is a burden there
Mm-hmm.
of I cannot let anyone down. And I certainly felt and feel that burden.
Mm-hmm.
And what that meant for me is even during times of burnout, I felt like I had to keep going, had to keep going, I
Mm-hmm.
had to keep going. And in this season, what I'm very proud of is I am taking an intentional inventory, an intentional assessment, and saying, what is it that I want my life to look like, and what is it that I am passionate about, and what is it that I want to expend my energy on. And so that
Mm,
has meant shifting from practicing law actively to coaching.
mm,
And that is a shift that has been very, I think, a long time coming for me. Um,
mm-hmm.
so in this season, I am proud of myself for going off of the well-worn, beaten path to say, actually, I'm going to try something different at this juncture in a
Right.
very kind of real way out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I continue to say to people, your life is really the collection of things that you decide, right? A lot
Mm,
of your life is that your career path. You are choosing the things that you want in your journey. And of course,
exactly.
that's not to say there are things that you can't control. Of course, there is that. But in the
Mm-hmm.
choices that you have control over, you are really making a choice of what elements go into, your collection. If we look at your career, at the end of your career, we're looking at this collection of experiences and you get to choose that.
Right.
And so often we think that it has to be linear. It has to be, if I decided I'm going to be X, I have to die being X,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
actually, no, you get to choose, and you really can have such a rich experience when you lean into the things that are on your heart. And so that
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm doing in this season. And I'm really, really proud of myself for doing that, because it's not easy
Right.
to do that. Like many people, I'm a creature of habit,
Mm-hmm.
and so tapping into that, I think, has been something that I have almost surprised myself with how much I am at peace with doing that.
Mm,
Um, I think the second thing that I am um, proud of is I'm really proud of just how much my faith has grown.
mm-hmm.
My faith is a cornerstone of who I am, and
Yeah.
in this season, I have experienced it in a whole new way.
Mm,
Um, and I'm really, I think proud is not quite the right word, but for lack of a better word, I will say proud, but I'm
mm-hmm.
really guarding that, because it has been transformative for me. I am in a
Mm-hmm.
season that is transformative, one in which there are changes that are taking place that I might not see
Right.
the end result right away, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that I will look back on the season and say it was because of this season.
Mm.
So that is the
Okay.
season that I'm in. And so my faith has really, really, really been enriched in
Mm-hmm.
this season. It's been stretched. And so, yeah, those are the two things I would say.
Okay, you know what? And those are really good things because those are things that, as you're in this transition, I love what you said, especially about, releasing that freedom. Um, on folks to think about their career in ways that are not so linear, in ways that you start here and you can end up over there, you can come here and circle back around if you want to. Why? Because there's so many transferable skills from one career path that can go into another. And guess what? We're always evolving, always learning. So you can learn something new if you decide, I just want to go try something new. You can do that mid career, you can do that right after you've started. So I love that freedom, right? And you're just a living example of that because you don't always think about that transition from lawyer to coach, right? And I want to get more into that in a little bit here. But the faith, I'm just going to put 3 check marks next to it because I thought my faith was okay. Before I started a business, before I started working for myself. But now, I don't know. It has just been a different ball game. It has been, but for the better, because it has changed my perspective, transformed my perspective on how I look at things. How, like you're saying, right, you're planting seeds in this good soil, but that means you're going to pull out, the weeds will be pulled out from around you, right? Any dead leaves, branches, everything. So it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but there is what happens when your garden is well watered, it is well taken care of. The things, the leaves that are going to blossom from that, the results that are going to come from it are going to be on such a steady foundation that you'll be so glad that you went through those moments of discomfort and had support while you were in there. So I appreciate and can deeply resonate with that faith transformation. So let's get into a little bit. You mentioned that you transitioned into coaching. Can you give us a little snippet of what that looks like? Who are you coaching? What are some of the topics? Give us a little teaser. What should the people be on the lookout for? As you're in this transition and you're just sharing this gift of yours with the world.
Thank you. I would say that a lot of us don't realize that we need coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think we often, especially in a professional work setting,
Mm-hmm.
coaching has a bit of a negative connotation in some instances where people think you need coaching or extra coaching if you're
Mm-hmm.
performing poorly. I think that coaches are there to really help you unlock the potential that's already within you.
Mm.
And that is my philosophy. And
Yeah.
so when you talk about the topics that I cover with people, that depends on the person.
Mm.
But every client that I have is seeking help in unlocking their potential.
Mm.
Um, and my kind of tagline that I use is that I am a personal trainer for your
Mm-hmm.
heart, your mind, and your soul.
Mm. Oh, I love that.
If you think about a personal trainer, like a fitness trainer,
Mm-hmm.
they are there to encourage you. They are there
Mm-hmm.
to challenge you. They are there to uplift you. They are there to remind you of who you are and why
Mm-hmm.
you signed up for this, even when you might be like, why am I up at 4 in the morning or 5 or whatever time it is, right?
Right.
And ultimately, the person who is doing the work is you. You are
Mm-hmm.
the one that's working out. You are the one that is committing to this healthier lifestyle. And so it is in coaching, in the way
Mm-hmm.
that I practice it. I am there as a guide. I am there to encourage. I am there to challenge. I'm there to uplift. But ultimately, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing the work. And for me, the best part of coaching is when I see the light bulbs going off, when I see
Mm.
my clients literally coming up with solutions as we talk through challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen all the time in one setting. I mean, it takes a series of conversations and we build trust and all of that. It's a journey,
Right.
but that really is what I derive a lot of satisfaction and joy from.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as what to expect from me in the season, some of the things that I like to communicate on social media are the things that I myself have learned,
Mm-hmm.
the things that I see a lot of clients like coming up against.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I like to share. And really why this is such an important thing for me to
Mm-hmm.
do is because I just want to help and impact others, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to uplift them, to be able to encourage them, and to get them from this place or this point of uncertainty or
Right.
confusion or whatever it is about their identity, their purpose, and to help them
Mm-hmm.
discover what it is their purpose is, because I believe that each one of us has a unique purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are operating in that purpose, the world is better for it.
Amen to that. Amen to that. We are in a better place. I think you're right. There has been an age-old stereotype around coaching. And so I love that you are contributing towards the undoing of those stereotypes. And you're coming from a really authentic place, a really qualified place to have these conversations. Because again, sometimes it can feel a little trendy, right? People just come up and decide like, oh, I'm going to be a coach today, right? So I really wanted you to share this insight so that people can see the root of where this is coming from, what you have to offer them. I think it's just so important to see and hear the heart behind it. I love that. And for anybody, I'm going to link Yeve's website as well so you can see it literally just feels like sunshine. It radiates off of the page, and you'll see that when you see her, of course, when you see her website, it's just going to deeply resonate. But thank you for sharing that part of it. So as we wrap up, I do have one last question for you. What does wellness mean to you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about wellness in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it's a holistic thing.
Mm.
Wellness embodies my mental health, my
Mm-hmm.
physical health, and then also my soul, my spirit, right? Like
Mm.
it's everything. And so when I am practicing wellness, I am honoring each aspect of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I am in alignment with my purpose.
Yes.
I am at peace. And really, that is what wellness means to me. It is something that I am cultivating
Mm-hmm.
daily in my work, in my life,
Mm-hmm.
in my family. And so, yeah, I would say that it is a holistic approach to health of all of these different aspects of who I am as a person.
Okay. That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And it is very true to the core, holistic, because we're not one dimensional. There's so many things that make us who we are. And I think that's a beautiful place to end this conversation today. But Yeve, I really appreciate you coming on to share your story, share your background, share about the things that you're doing. It's just really wonderful to be able to have that insight. And I hope you all have really received this. And I'd love to hear, what are your takeaways from this conversation? Share with us in the comments. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You'll find us on YouTube if you want to see our faces, connect with us that way. And then we're also on Spotify. Share in the comments, rate the podcast, and just let us know what you're thinking. But yeah, before I let you go, how can the people get in touch with you? How do they stay connected?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to connect with your listeners. You can find me on social media. All of my social media is included and linked on my website.
Mm-hmm.
You can connect and remain in touch with me through my newsletter, and I think Nicole will share all of that.
Yes.
And in all of these spaces, I am very open to direct messages, and I'm always willing to have a conversation. And so please don't be strangers. I'd love to hear from you and get to know you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I will link all her information. It is in the show notes. So there's great ways to keep in touch with her. Until next Wednesday, be well, take care, and I can't wait to connect with you again. Have an amazing evening, everyone, or day, whatever time you're tuning in. You are wonderful, and